Dudes and dudettes, how are you guys? This is Chazzy and welcome back to The Mixer, the segment on this channel where I give you guys all sorts of detailed analyses from all walks of life. I'll talk about people, places, animals, food, sports, traveling, the whole 9 yards. Hence why it's called The Mixer, because I like to mix things up in this huge playlist here with over 200 videos at this point. I'm sitting here wondering when I'm gonna get to 300 so I could change that intro, you know, that little part of the intro there, but it's gonna take a while. And so today, guys, I'm going to be doing my final baseball related player profile for a while. You know, I've already done videos on Babe Ruth and Mike Schmidt, and today I'm going to be covering George Kenneth Griffey Jr., the son of George Kenneth Griffey, without the junior, you know, senior, and his nickname is Junior, and also the kid, you know. He was actually a very good baseball player who played 22 seasons in the MLB. So he played 11 years for the Seattle Mariners, where he became, you know, one of the best players in the league and also very beloved and famous. Then he played 9 years for the Cincinnati Reds, and then a very short stint for the Chicago White Sox in 2008. Then he wrapped up the final 2 years of his career playing for the Mariners again, right? And he is actually one of the most prolific home run hitters in baseball history, and as a matter of fact, his 630 career home runs rank 7th all time, you know, which doesn't seem like a lot, but well, you know. Now, he was also an exceptional defender in the center field, right, with by winning, among other accolades, 10 Gold Glove Awards, which is basically an award in baseball where a player has an outstanding performance, you know, as a defender in the outfield. And also, he is one of only 31 baseball players in history to have played MLB games in 4 different calendar decades, you know, so the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and the 2010s. So, you know, it's funny because he started his career in '89 and he retired in 2010. So, like, literally right at the tail end of 2 of those, you know. He was really good, man, you know, like this guy's penchant for hitting home runs, just, it was crazy. And he wasn't like, he didn't take steroids like Barry Bonds. He just had a knack for hitting the balls out of the park, you know. It's freaking crazy. And it's funny how, you know, his dad played pro baseball. I think he has a relative named Trey who played college football. You know, I forgot if it was a brother or a cousin, but still, sports blood runs in his family, right? Now, I'm going to be talking a little bit about his career, what he did, his highs and lows, this and that. But before that, I'm going to show you guys the first of quite a few clips here of him doing his thing, possibly in the early days of his career. Hopefully I gave you guys something cool there, you know. It's really tough to get clips from MLB players, you know, because of copyright and stuff, but I tried my best and hopefully in this case I succeeded. Now, Ken Griffey Jr. actually began his career in the minor leagues, no surprise at all. In 1987, he was drafted first overall by the Seattle Mariners with a signing bonus of $160,000, which is not too shabby for a kid, you know. But he actually began playing in the Bellingham Mariners, you know, which was a minor league, so he could hone his skills a little bit, you know. It's kind of like the farming system in MLB where they make players go through a youth league of sorts, you know, to see if they can eventually get to the first team. And he played pretty well because in 54 games with Bellingham, he actually batted .313, you know, if I said it correctly, and he also had 14 home runs and 40 runs batted in and 13 stolen bases, you know. So already early on he was showing signs of greatness, you know. And then in 1988 he was actually like promoted, let's say, to the San Bernardino Spirit of the minor league, but now the A Advanced League, so he was moving up in ranks. And with 58 games with them, he batted .338 and also had 11 home runs and 42 runs batted in and 32 stolen bases. So as you can see, some of his stats were increasing a little bit. He was getting better and better. And in that same season, he was promoted up to the Vermont Mariners, which was the Class AA in the minor league, you know. And now he actually went there, he got there to the final stretch of the season with them, so he only played 17 games. But in those 17 games, he had a batting average of .279, is that how you say it? .279? I'm still unclear about that. And also 2 home runs and 10 runs batted in. So I would imagine that the Mariners saw that they really had a good prospect on their hands, you know, such that in 1989 he finally joined the first team, you know. Now here's the thing, guys, in his first 11 seasons with them, he established himself as one of the most prolific and exciting players of the era with a grand total of 1,752 hits, you know, and also 398 8 home runs, just 2 shy from 400, my God. 1,552 runs batted in total, and also 167 stolen bases. He also led the American League in home runs for 4 different seasons, right? He was voted the MVP in 1997, and he maintained a batting average of .297 across his career with them. And also, he had really impressive range that very often produced these spectacular diving plays, you know, like over-the-shoulder basket catches. The fans were loving this kid, you know. And that became his nickname, the Kid. But there were a few highlights as well. For example, in '89, when he first started playing in his very first MLB plate appearance, he hit a line drive double at Oakland Coliseum, and then a week later, he hit his first home run at the Kingdome, you know, which was his first at-bat. And the Kingdome is the stadium of the Mariners. Now, let's fast forward a little bit to 1993, you know, in the MLB Home Run Derby, where he hit the warehouse beyond the right field wall on the fly. He actually became the first and is still the only player today to do that, you know. Man, how many feet is that? Like 500? Good Lord. Then in '94, this season actually ended a little bit earlier, you know, because of labor disputes, but despite that, he still hit 30 home runs, you know, in the Mariners' first 65 games, which is really, really impressive. Now, let's fast forward to '95. Why fast forward? It's just a year later. Now, this here happened in the American League Division Series against the New York Yankees, you know. Now, even though the Mariners lost the first 2 games, they were actually on the verge of elimination, by the way, but they came back to win the next 2 games, you know, and set up a very decisive 5th game where, you know, Ken really saw his moment to shine there. So it was the bottom of the 11th inning of Game 5, and he was on first base, and his teammate Edgar Martinez hit a double, and then Griffey raced around the bases, you know, and he slid into home, you know, with the winning run, and he went there to celebrate with his teammates. He just popped up and hugged them, you know. It was a really great moment in baseball, you know, especially if you were there and witnessed it. And then now in '97, a couple of years later, he was leading the Mariners, you know. He led them to the American League West crown and also won his MVP award. And on that occasion, he batted .304 with 56 home runs and 147 runs batted in. And he did all of that in 157 games, right? Very good percentage there. Now, the next year in '98, you know, he nearly duplicated his stats from the previous season because his batting average was now .284 with 56 home runs again and 146 runs batted in, just 1 less, you know, than the previous season. And he did all of that in 161 games, you know. So, you know, that was basically the final stretch of his time there with the Mariners because he left in 1999, you know. But already, man, in those 11 seasons with them, he really proved himself to be a very versatile and aggressive player, you know. Very, very good on both ends, infield, outfield. And now we're going to get to his time in the Cincinnati Reds. But before that, let's take a look at another clip here of him, you know, with his time in the Mariners.
Nope. And that ball is belted. That may be in the upper deck. Fly away, way over the Hard Rock Cafe. My, oh my, what a shot by Junior. The Mariners get 3 more, and you can hear the buzz here at the Sky Dome. A mammoth home run by Ken Griffey Jr.
Alrighty, now he made the jump all the way to Cincinnati, and throughout his time with Seattle, he played with the number 24 jersey, you know, but now he switched to 30 because that was the number that his dad played with, you know, when he was in both Seattle and Cincinnati, so a little bit of an homage to his old man there. Unfortunately, his first season with them in 2000 kind of, you know, saw some declining stats because Ken was only batting .271 with 40 home runs and 118 runs batted in across 145 games, you know, which isn't really, like, compared to what he did in Seattle, that was actually a little bit lower than expected. And because of a lot of injuries, you know, he actually went on to miss 260 out of 486 games, man, for the Reds between 2002 and 2004. So that put a little bit of a stint there on his legacy. But in 2005, he saw a little bit of a resurgence in health, you know, and he went on to hit 35 home runs in 128 games in total for the Cincinnati Reds, which are both the highest number of home runs and also the most games that he had played since his first year with the Reds, you know, back in 2000. So in 06, he actually hit his 500th career home run, you know, against the Kansas City Royals. So there was something good to celebrate there. Now in 2007, what happened was that this other player named Ryan Field took over center field, so Griffey moved over to the right field to give the Reds a little bit of a stronger defense up the middle, you know. There were a few interesting things that happened towards the end of this season here, like for example, he hit his 2,500th career hit he hit his hit. No, he got his 2,500th career hit in total, you know, which was on a first inning single against the Atlanta Braves, and he actually went on to finish the season with 78 runs in total, which is pretty impressive, and also 146 hits in total and 24 doubles, 30 home runs and 98 runs batted in with an average of .277, and all of that in 144 games, right? So then in 2008, he actually hit his 608th career home run in his last game for the Reds, you know, which ended a very impressive run, honestly, despite people thinking he was a little bit, you know, dipping in quality. And before we get to the short stint that he played in Chicago, I'm gonna take a little break here and show you guys a clip now, you know, a little bit sooner than expected, right? Because I think I managed to get one from YouTube with no copyright. Let's take a look at a clip here of Ken with the Cincinnati Reds, probably hitting a home run.
And 6 of the 11 home runs on the year against left-handers for Jr.
Here's the pitch. Fly ball right field. And they are in front. Man, oh man. Boy, do those missed calls on the walk and the Bichette at bat haunt you now.
Okay, hopefully that worked out without any copyright infringement issues, you know. Please let me use these clips, YouTube. They make my videos so much better. So in 2008, he went to play for the Chicago White Sox, you know, and in his first game, he went 2 for 3, you know, with 2 runs batted in, a walk and a run. And it would only be on August 20th where he would hit his first home run for the White Sox, you know, which actually tied Sammy Sosa in 5th place for career home runs in total. And he surpassed Sammy on September 23rd, you know, with another homer. So pretty impressive. There was a signature moment with his time with the White Sox, you know, in the last game of the season against the Minnesota Twins. On that occasion, you know, the game was scoreless down to the 5th inning, and the Twins had were on third base with 1 player out, you know, so Griffey went to throw this strike to the White Sox catcher, who tagged out a player who was coming into home plate, so that completed a double play, and they managed to beat them. However, even though they got through them in advance to the American League Division Series, they would lose that one to the Tampa Bay Rays, you know, so yeah, you win some and you lose some, and that ended his essential very short stint with them. And afterwards, you know, feeling a little homesick, he decided to go back to the Seattle, you know, to the Seattle Mariners, right? This was in 2009 when he was a free agent for the first time in his career, and he was kind of indecisive between the Atlanta Braves and the Mariners, because at that point he had a home in Orlando, Florida, and he really wanted to be closer to his home and his family, you know, so he was kind of, you know, aggravating over the decision to play for the Atlanta Braves, but eventually, you know, sentimental nostalgia took over and he signed again with the Seattle Mariners, right? And the fans were just so, you know, happy. They were over the moon with that, you know. And on April 15th, he hit his 400th home run with the Seattle Mariners, you know, becoming the first MLB player to hit 400 home runs with one team and 200 with another, in his case the Cincinnati Reds, remember? So breaking records even in his final seasons, you know. So now on June 23rd, he did something even crazier, which was hit the 5,000th home run in franchise history for the Mariners, bro. 5,000 home runs, and he contributed with, well, 400 of them up until that point, you know. Then on July 1st, he hit his career 621st home run, and that on that occasion, that was the 44th ballpark in which he hit a home run, which was very impressive, you know. And in 2010, his final season, he was struggling offensively, you know, in his first 2 months with them. You know, he had a batting average of .184, which was very low for someone like him. On May 20th, he hit his he had his final hit and run batted in of his career, and that put him, you know, on the put him in 14th place on the all-time runs batted in list, you know. Then eventually he decided to retire because he kind of didn't want him to take too much attention away from the team, you know. He just drove out, you know, Barry Sanders style into the sunset and never looked back. But it was a very, very good career, man, you know. Freaking Ken Griffey Jr. Before I continue and give you guys some career stats and accolades, you know, I'm going to show you another clip here, possibly of him with the White Sox even, if I can get one. If not, well, it's going to have to be the Mariners again.
2-2 to Griffey. There goes another one. High and deep to right field. Number 610 last night and number 611 tonight. His 3rd home run since his return to the American League.
You know, it's kind of funny and crazy how his career began and ended with the Seattle Mariners almost exactly 22 years apart, right? Because his first MLB appearance with them was on April 3rd, 1989, and his last MLB appearance also with them was on May 31st, 2010. So like a difference of a month, you know, would have made him like start and end his career exactly 22 years apart, which I think is really crazy. Now, throughout his career, he finished off his career with a batting average of .284, you know, across all the teams he played for, and he also had a staggering 2,781 hits, man. You know, not that far from 3,000. It would have been really impressive. And among that, he had 1,836 runs batted in total as well. And his penchant for hitting homers out of the park, you know, 630 home runs in total as well for him, which I think it's not as impressive as Babe Ruth for the time period that he played in, you know, the 20s and 30s and whatnot, but still, I think it was really cool. Now, also his career highlights and awards, right? He was a 13-time All-Star, you know, from 1990 to 2000, again in 04 and 07, and he is also a recipient of 10 Gold Glove Awards, you know, all of them consecutive, by the way, you know, from 1990 to 99, so 10 consecutive Gold Gloves Awards for outstanding defensive player and whatnot, and also the recipient of he's a 7-time Silver Slugger Award recipient, you know, and because Slugger is in the name, you can imagine it's about hitting the ball and runs and whatnot, you know, very impressive. And he also was a 4-time American League home run leader as well, which is not surprising at all given his, you know, just hobby of hitting those balls, you know. One of my favorite highlights of his is that tape measure Sky Dome Blast, man, in 1996. If you go on YouTube and look that up, you're gonna be like, holy freaking bonkers, right? So I can imagine he won this award quite a few times. And also he was the American League runs batted in leader in 97. He also won that. And he was also in the same year the American League MVP. You know, I really think he deserved more than that, but he only got one. And he was also the National League Comeback Player of the Year in 2005 with the Cincinnati Reds, battling through injuries and stuff, you know, very cool. And he is also, oh yeah, his number 24, you know, it was retired by the Seattle Mariners, you know. Like, it was funny because when he left Seattle in 99, nobody had played with the 24, you know, it was there like temporarily retired until he came back in 2009 and he got his number back, you know. I think it was a really cool detail as well. He also, of course, made the Seattle Mariners Hall of Fame. He also made the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame, and he made, unsurprisingly, the Major League Baseball All-Century team as well, and he was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 2016, but he did it with a vote of 99.3% in the first ballot, man. And actually, that was, he broke the record for Tom Seaver, who was inducted into the Hall of Fame with a percentage of 98.84, and that record had stood for 24 years until Ken came along, bro. Freaking insane. I'm pretty sure his dad was very proud of him, you know. And yeah, holy fruitada, dude. That was awesome. And that's it, guys. That's really all I can say, you know. I don't know how long this video is gonna get. I tried to cut out a few things, you know, to make it look more or feel more quicker. I don't know. And once you're done watching this video, go on my shorts tab on my channel and take a look at at this point the last video that I uploaded, which is showing my baseball cards. One of them is a vintage Ken Griffey Jr. autographed. You know, it's really cool. It's my very small baseball card collection there and whatnot. And yeah, man, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm sorry if I butchered some details and I kept looking at my cheat sheet. You know, it's because, well, you know, I don't know too much about baseball. I'm still learning about it, so I had to put together a little script here, but I hope you guys enjoyed it anyway. Let me know in the comments what you thought about Ken Griffey Jr. as a player, if you were a fan, you know, and if you weren't, but how can you not be? Unless he hit a lot of home runs against your team, then I can imagine you probably hate him. So anyway, guys, if you happen to like this video, please go ahead and give it a like and also subscribe to my channel because I release videos every single day. And while you're at it, hit the notification bell too, so you can know exactly what time I upload. And it's all good. This is Chazzy signing out for now, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Roll the outro screen right out of the park.